Welcome to the Sickle and Sword podcast. Today I have with me my friend, Brother Tony Carrillo.
Thank you, Justin Schaefer, giving me this opportunity to come here, sit down on this podcast, Stick on the Sword. It's a great honor, great privilege to be here, and great moment to share a little bit about my life.
Absolutely. I've been very excited about this, and ever since you mentioned to me what you were going to talk about, I've been just stoked and just ready for this. So I guess we could start at the beginning. The topic today is your testimony leading into your business as a Christian and the example that you set there. But at the very beginning starts, I guess, in your childhood?
Yes, actually, it starts a little bit before that. Can I tell you that my life was almost terminated? Yeah. So what the story is, my mom's told me one day, you know what, when I became pregnant, I did everything to terminate your birth.
Wow.
She was married, had 4 kids, my brother, 3 sisters. Then she got a divorce, met my dad, which he's awesome. They got married and she got pregnant. And they were going through a transitional phase or, having issues. So she was like, you know what? I don't want this birth. So she did take a lot of remedies, a lot of home remedies, a lot of different medicines to terminate the birth. But as you can see me and those who are listening, I am here. Of course, a little bit behind that, she was a migrant worker. My parents were migrant workers, lived in Houston, Texas. They would always go to the northern states to work in the fields. Well, I was born in Ohio, Toledo, Ohio. And the reason I was born in that state was because, of course, my mom was working in the fields. So she was 9 months pregnant when she was working in Ohio. It was February. She slipped on the ice, couldn't walk anymore for several months after that. So they rushed her to the hospital, and there I was, a 10-pound baby.
Wow.
So that was a little bit about before my actual birth. When I came to Christianity was through my wife, Patty. Big shout out to her. I love you. And she is the main reason why I'm here today. I wasn't brought up Christian, never gone to it. I mean, I would go to a Catholic church every once in a while, as tradition has it. My grandma was a Catholic, my mom, they would go to Catholic church every once in a while. So same thing was me. I met my wife 2003, and she was Christian. I wasn't, but that's what drew me to her because of her values, her principles, and she was very different. I wasn't different. Now, at that time, I did work at a office, which I dressed the part as a Christian, some slacks, a nice dress shirt. But she saw me from afar, and she thought I was a Christian. Nope. Soon she barely found out that, I was very into the world, all about going with my friends, going to the clubs, drinking and doing drugs. And she found that out, because we did get together. She was pregnant with my son, Anthony. And through that whole first year of marriage, it was troublesome. Now, to me, not that much because that was my world, but to her, it was a huge battle. And as I think back to that, every time I think of how or what process she had to go through to be able to stay with me, because she believed in me, even though everything told her not to, she still stuck with me. Her testimony won me over. It was her going to church on Friday nights. It was her going to church on Sundays, and me on Friday nights going with my friends or family members who were having a big party, drinking, and they would always ask me for my wife. They would say, "Hey Tony, where's Patty tonight, Friday night?" "Oh, she's at church." I would come home Friday, get into the shower, get my clothes ready, start ironing, dress up, and leave. So I would leave. Sometimes I would come back Saturday. Sometimes I wouldn't come back till Sunday. Now, Sunday, I would wake up late afternoon, and here comes Patty, my wife, with Anthony, just a few months old, in her arms. And just seeing that kept knocking at my door, at my mind. Just going a little bit back, I was brought up with a single mother of five. That means that my father was passed away when I was 4 years old. So I grew up without a father. He was shot and killed when I was 4 years old. He was working in Florida, working over there to send money to Houston, where we lived, to support his family. Something happened over there. Some guy was really drunk and shot my dad.
Oh my.
So I was brought up by a single mother of five kids. She had boyfriends here and there, but I never really had that you can say, "Oh, that's my stepdad."
Right.
And some people who have seen my mom with a guy, and I've introduced both of them, they'll say, "Oh, that's your stepdad," and I'm like, "Well, I guess you could say for the moment."
Yeah.
But I was raised by a single mother, and then when my wife started, being firm in church, that lasted a whole year, probably a year, yeah, about a year, and it was devastating for her. It's devastating for me now that I acknowledge and understand that I had an issue, I had problems in my life. But yeah, it was because of her testimony that I called her one day and said, "You know what? I want to have some Bible studies. Do you know somebody?" And she was like, I guess you could say she was freaked out. I like, "What's going on? Am I being pranked?" I said, "Yeah, I'm serious. I want to change my life. Do you know somebody who can give me some Bible studies?" She said, "Yeah." So she called this minister, and we met once a week at our house for 1 hour. He gave me Bible studies. I purchased my first Bible, and I made a decision that day. I said, "Today, I want to change my life, and not only I want to change my life, but I want to change my son's future, because it's all about choices." And it's all about having a good attitude. Justin, that in order to be successful in life, you have to have a good attitude. And that an attitude is always a choice. They say that the most important decision that you can make on a daily basis is your choice of attitude. It's more important that your savings, your bank account, your culture, your upbringing is more important than everything. There's a formula. It's called E plus R equals O. I don't know if you've ever heard about that.
No, I haven't.
Stands for events plus response equals outcome. So no matter what event you're going through, what circumstances you're going through in life, depending on how you respond to that event or circumstance will be your outcome. So if you have a good attitude and respond in a good attitude, even though everything tells you to go against that, I'm sure, like my wife, I think everything in her body, in her mind, and even in her spirit was probably telling her, "Hey, you got to give up on this guy. There is no future for you and your child with him." But she said, "You know what? I'm gonna stay here. That even though everything is going against me, to just punch this guy in the face." You know what I mean? I'm sure she felt that way. But she kept coming back home She kept going to church. She kept praying for me. Her mom, her dad prayed for me. Her parents didn't like me. But yet they prayed and fasted for me. So I am so thankful for her and her family that did that for me. And yeah, things started to change from there on. There's this guy that I listen to. His name is Jim Ron. He says, in order for things to change, you need to change. In order for things to improve, you need to improve. In order for things to get better, you have to get better. So I had to make a choice and make a choice of having a good attitude towards whatever my situation was. I couldn't blame that situation. I couldn't use it as an excuse anymore for where I was. But I made a choice, I made a decision, and I said, hey, today I need to change. And I started working on myself. And that's where truth came in because of those Bible studies. And I am so, you know, there are no words to explain how grateful I am with our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I'm a strong believer in the Bible. It is God inspired. So there is truth. You know, Jesus said that he came to bear witness of the truth. So we know, you and I know that truth exists. Jesus said, I am the way and the truth. So we know that where we can find the truth.
That's right.
So not only does the truth exist, but it can be learned, it can be acknowledged, it can be understood. And what I was doing there for a while was that I was suppressing the truth. I was limiting the truth. I knew there was a God. I knew there was a Bible, but I never read his word. And it's God inspired. So when we open our Bibles, that's God voice in print, right? So when I started to understand, hey, there's a way that God has given me to change and improve and get better in my life. And one of my favorite verses, which I know you have several favorite verses, but it's Joshua 1:8 and 9. It says, this book of the law shall not depart your mouth, but you shall meditate in it day and night, that you shall keep and do everything that is written in it. It says, for then you shall make your way prosperous and have good success. And so it tells me that, hey, there's things that I have to do. I have to seek his word, seek his kingdom, his justice. And not only do I need to abide in him, but his word, his presence, his spirit needs to abide in me. And and one of the things that you and I can do is get his word like a bubble gum. You know, we can't just chew it and not swallow. In order for the word of God, his truth, to be effective, we need to swallow it. We need to embrace it. So that's one of the things I had to do. I had to do what's required. And I had to do it until. So, verse 9 says, look, that I command you to be strong and of good courage. Do not be afraid nor be dismayed, because I, your God, will be with you wherever you are. So if you do this, hey, you will be successful. You will be victorious. There will be a process, but I'm going to be with you no matter how hard it gets. And me understanding that and believing in it, I'm like, okay, I ain't got no worries. I feel worry. I feel all these emotions, just like he said, look, that I command you to be strong and of good courage and not be afraid. He didn't say don't feel afraid.
Right.
You will feel all these emotions, and everything is going to tell you, hey, you probably want to throw in the towel. They say, hey, don't. Trust me. Lean on me. I'm going to take care of you.
Wow.
And so, yeah, it's been in the process, and I'm still in the process.
I think we all are.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's amazing. And what an amazing testimony that is. So how did that take you? How did you kind of get into the business world?
In the business world, there's this story. I don't know if you've heard it. It's by Eric Thomas. He's a motivational speaker. He says this story about this young guy that wants to be on a second level, on a high level. He wants to be successful. But well, he finds out that there's this old man, this wise man, this guru, I guess you can tell him. And he said he goes to this wise man, this older man, and says, "Man, I want to be on your level." I said, "Well, if you want to be on your level, meet me at the beach at 4 a.m. tomorrow." And the young guy's like, "Well, I mean, I want to be successful. I don't want to go swimming, but I'm gonna go over there at 4 a.m." So he meets this old man at the beach at 4 a.m. with his suit and his briefcase. And the old man tells him, "Hey, I'm glad you made it. And I know you want to be successful. So why don't we go into the water and follow me into the water all the way to your waist?" And this guy's over here like, this guy is crazy. I mean, he's successful. He's on another level, but he's crazy. But he still does it. So he goes into the water all the way into his waist. And then the wise man tells him, "Okay, we need to go in deeper, all the way to your neck." And he said, "Well, I came to be successful. I came with my best suit, ready for success. I'm already all the way in water. I already messed up the suit. And you're asking me to go in deeper." I said, "You're crazy. I'm not going to do it." Then the wise man tells him, "Well, I thought you wanted to be successful." I said, "I do, but this is crazy." I said, "Follow me, trust me." And he was like, "Okay, all right, here we go." So he goes all the way into his neck. You know, the water is just, I mean, all these waves, it's so early, it's cold. And he has his best suit, which is no longer his best suit. And this wise man tells him, "We got to go in deeper." And he was about to go back. He was about to, say, "Hey, this is crazy. This guy's a lunatic. He has money. He's successful. He's on another level, but I don't know about this." But he still does it. So he goes in deeper all the way into his mouth, I guess you can say, just a few more inches. What this old man does, though, is that he grabs his young man by the head, by the hair, and he starts pushing him underwater as much as he could. So in this time, this young man is scratching this older man. He's trying to get him, and he's trying to fight for his life all this whole time. And before he could pass out, the old man brings him up, and he asks the young man this question: "Before anything that you wanted to do, what was the most important thing that you wanted to do?" So what do you think he...
I have no idea. Breathe.
Exactly. He said, "I wanted to breathe." The old man looks at him and he says, "When you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful." So he says, so all this time in my life, I knew I needed to change. And that story has always been an uplifting, well, not uplifting, but it's been a motivation in my life as well. He says, whenever you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful. So you got to want it. So the question is, how bad do you want it? And in order for things to get better, to improve, to change, well, I have to change. Well, it started, I worked at Human Resources for Tyler ISD. I worked there for about 4 years. And this recruiter from another company kept knocking at my door. And she wanted me to work for her company. And that happened for several months. Finally, she convinced me, money-wise. And I made the transition from Tyler ISD to being a supervisor or a manager at this company, which I managed up to 100 employees at Target Warehouse. I managed 50 in the morning and 50 in the evening. Well, that was very stressful. It was very stressful. It was one of the worst jobs I've ever had. And I lasted there 3 months. They called me to the office one afternoon after coming from the morning shift, and they said, "Hey, Tony, unfortunately, we have lost the contract we had with Target Warehouse, so your position has been terminated because there is no more. There's no more Target. There's that position's been done away with." And so I was like, I left Tyler ISC to come here, and I was just thinking this, and I have a family, and now I lost my job. And I looked at her and said, "Well, thank you so much for the opportunity. God bless you." And I stood up and left. The second day, that afternoon, I called my brother-in-law, Adrian. He works he has his own company in the construction business. And I told him, "Hey, I need a job." He said, come with me. And I got something for you. I said, "Okay." So didn't matter what I wanted, but I knew what it needed to be done. If I had to go out and work construction, I was going to go out and work construction. So that's what I did because I have a family and I have responsibilities. So in this process, I'm working, with Adrian. It's awesome, but it's really hard. It's really hot, and I do most of the labor because I'm a helper, and I don't know all the skills that Brother Adrian has, and he doesn't even have to think about it. By nature, he does what he does, and I'm more of the helper, getting those big 2x6s with 20 feet long and all this stuff. And while I was doing that, I started having interviews, and these two investors called me and said, "Hey, I heard that you were needing a job. Won't you come over here and interview?" So I went. I told Brother H, "Hey, I won't be able to make it in tomorrow. I have an interview." He said, "Okay, hey, don't worry about it." So I went. I did an interview, and we negotiated, and that was it. They didn't say yes or no. I said, "Well, we'll call you." Second day, they called me back and said, "Won't you come in back? We want to interview you again." I said, "Okay, yes, sir. I'll be there." "Hey, Adrian, won't be able to make it." So I went there. Finally, we negotiated a good amounts. I accepted. And they told me, "All I need you to do, Tony, is to come into the office and just hear us out. Just listen to us, whatever we do." And they were investing in real estate. And I've never done real estate. I've always done office administration type of work, human resources. And this was a whole different ball game for me. So I don't know what they saw in me. I mean, I did tell them what I could do, what my experience was. But hey, here I was going to their office and listening to them. So they would tell me, "Hey, Tony, won't you go to Home Depot and buy these 4x8 whiteboards, and I want you to bring them to the office and nail them to the wall." I said, "Yes, sir, I will do." So I went to Home Depot, bought these whiteboards, came back to the office, and started putting them into the wall. So they had me do all this stuff. They would say, "Hey, Tony, I need you to go to Starbucks and buy some coffee." So I'm over here thinking to myself, "Man, what am I doing? I didn't sign up for this to be somebody's boy to bring this and bring that." That was just me thinking, but I kept going. So they would get these houses, and sometimes they need to be cleaned. And they would say, "Hey, Tony, do you think you can clean them?" I said, "Yes, sir. I'll clean them." So my wife and we would go to these properties, and we would clean the properties. And in the process, I didn't know this, but I was learning real estate. And there's sometimes that I needed put a trailer, get it hitched to the back of the truck while it was raining and pouring. And he would say, "Hey Tony, can you go ahead and hook it up?" And I'm over here, slacks and a dress shirt, dressed for the office. And I said, "Yes, sir." So I would get out, pouring rain, and I would do what needed to be done. And that was my attitude. I was your yes sir guy. By the time you know it, in a few months, I started learning the business, learning the office. So I started managing the office. I was no longer doing that. I was managing all their accounts, managing all their properties. Why? Because I was willing to do what was necessary. I was willing to do what was required. And I went in with the right attitude. Even though inside of me, I was like, man, I didn't sign up for this. Better than this, you know. And after learning property management, because I was leasing out their properties, I started working with a lot of their realtors, a lot of their banks and lenders and surveyors. So a thought came to my mind and said, you know what? I need to get my real estate license because I see what these realtors are making. So while I had a full-time job, I had to go to full-time school. And it was hard because I didn't have the money to go to school. So I enlisted in THC West Campus and I took one class. And after I finished, well, I took that class, it was about $200. And I didn't know if I was going to have money to pay for the second class. And it was 6 classes. And that's how I did it, by faith, I guess you can say. I went for two weeks, one class. Finally, before the class was over, I was able to bring up more money, pay for the second class and third class, all the way to the 6th class, while I was still having a full-time job. And I would have to get out of class to answer phones, to answer emails sometimes. And I am so glad for my teacher because he would say, hey, go do what you got to do. So finished my classes, took the state and final and international, national test, and I passed them and got my real estate license. And I didn't have any friends or anybody that I knew that was in real estate already. So I went out there blind, and I went out there, kicking and screaming and having to do what needed to be done. And my first sale wasn't until 6 months later. So as a real estate agent, you have to pay a lot of fees to Greater Tyler Associates of Realtors, whatever, GTAR. There's a lot of monthly fees, quarterly fees, and broker fees. So if I wasn't making money and I was having to pay all these fees. So I after 6 months, I was able to get a buyer to purchase one lot. Cost him about, I forgot how much it cost him, but I made $300.
Oh man.
And I was like, yes, $300. Wow. But I was like, yes, I finally got a client. And I just did a lot of marketing. All marketing I do myself. I started learning how to market, how to do videos, live videos, how to go to properties and showcase the property. Yeah, I did whatever needed to be done so I can be out there. And yeah, that's how I got into real estate. A year of me being in real estate, my wife got into real estate. I wasn't able to convince her myself, but the team that called me to be part of their team started being friends with my wife, because my wife would always come with me, and they got to know Patty, and they liked Patty, and they said, you need to be a licensed realtor. So they were the ones who convinced my wife to become a realtor. Well, she does the same thing. She gets into real estate. She gets the classes, passes her real estate license. And that first week, she got her client. Wow. She was successful.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a little bit of how I got into real estate, and it wasn't easy. They say that if you do what is easy, think your life will be hard. But if you do what is hard, your life will be easy. Sometimes we have so many desires that we pursue, but we don't have the passion to pursue our desires. I know there's a lot of people out there, as I said, man, or I've said it, seen like your brother-in-law Nathan. You know, he has a good physique. He works out a lot, and I'm thinking over here, well, man, I wish I had. I want to have that physique, that strength, that stamina, that energy, that motivation. But do I really? Am I really pursuing it? So a lot of people are they have a desire, but they don't have the strength to want to pursue their desires, and it takes a lot of effort. There are a lot of sacrifices that you have to do, but all things are possible. I know I have to make sure that I always put God first, family second, and church third. And because with God, I can do all things. With my family, me putting God first, I'll automatically bless my family. And if I really want to bless my family, then I'm going to take them to church. So everything just falls in line, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
And another thing, and sorry to keep talking.
You're good.
You know, I don't know if you've ever heard about the Chinese bamboo tree. Well, there is this bamboo tree that takes 5 years to grow. Well, in these 5 years, these men and women have to water it, fertilize it each and every day, and after 5 years, it'll grow 90 feet. Now the question is, does it grow 90 feet in 90 days, or does it grow 90 feet in 5 years? The answer is very obvious. It grows 90 feet in 5 years. So what I have to tell everybody out there who's pursuing to get better, to change, to improve, to pursuing success, you know, things you probably won't see a lot of fruits in the first few months. Sometimes even like me, it took 6 months just to get $300 after I paid all that money in school and everything. But I am where I am because of the sacrifices of everything that I was willing to do. A lot of people didn't see in me, or probably won't see in other people, you know, fruits. But while you're watering, while you're fertilizing that bamboo tree, you're not seeing results. People are not seeing your results. And people walk up to you while you're watering the ground, that dirt. There's nothing there, not even a little leaf. You know, they're seeing you day by day watering the same spot, trying to put some fertilizer on the same spots, but there's no results. And people can say, man, anybody can tell you there's nothing growing there. But you have to ignore the critics. You have to ignore the critic inside of you. Because after 5 years, you'll see results. Now, not necessarily it's going to be 5 years, but the bamboo tree, you know, grew 90 feet after 5 years in 5 weeks. So after 5 years, in 5 weeks, it grew 90 feet. So if you stick with the word, if you stick with the truth, Bible said to Joshua once again, it says, meditate in this word day and night, that you shall keep and do everything that is written in it. So that's what's required. You have to wake up every single day, and you have to convince yourself every single day. Here I go again, and I have what it takes, and nobody out there is going to stop me. So sometimes you got to talk to yourself, and you got to tell yourself, not today, Tony, not today. Don't stay in bed. You know, I know it's cold outside, or I know it's hot outside. I know these covers are nice and warm. I know it's very comfortable, but you got to get out of your comfort zone. You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
And it says only then. It says, for then you'll be successful and have good. You'll be prosperous and have good success. So there are some requirements that are necessary for us to go through in life, and it's all worth it. It's all worth it at the end. I love my wife. I love my children. I love the leadership and everything that we have at Tyler Tabernacle. I appreciate friendships like you and Lauren and your father. I mean, Brother Bruce Schaefer. I mean, he's an amazing leader. He's him and many others are the reason why I do what I do. They're the ones who push me. They're the ones who motivate me. They're the ones who lift me up. They're the ones who tell me what's required and give me reminders. Hey, you got to do this. This is what you need to do. And with God's help, nothing can stand in your way. There's no mountain too high, no valley too low that can stop you from being successful in whatever you put your mind to.
That's so good. I really appreciate I appreciate that so much. I mean, your testimony is so powerful. It's just something that I know I'll be reflecting on for quite some time. So, now, do you have any advice for, say, young men trying to find their way? This is kind of an interesting time for young men to be strong and to have the confidence to build things. We don't live in a time where men build things hardly anymore. And so do you have any advice for young men that would be in a similar vein, trying to find something new, build something new? Any advice?
Well, first of all, for all the fathers out there, be a father. But most importantly, be a daddy. Anybody can be a father, but there's only certain men can be a daddy. That means you got to put yourself out there. You got to sacrifice for your family, for your kids. But if you were raised without a father, just like me, my mom used to say, and I'm sure it's the same thing to all Americans, you tell me who your friends are, and I'll tell you who you become or who you are. That goes the same as in business. You tell me who your friends are, and I'll tell you how much your bank account will have, if that makes sense. So influence is very important, is vital for your success. If you have to surround yourself with men and women who want to accomplish the same goal. So there are no excuses. If you want things to change, they will change. Will it be easy? No. But it's simple. It's a yes or no or left to right. It's sitting down or standing up. It's a choice of attitude. It's surrounding yourself with people of the same mind. Birds of a feather flock together. If you are willing to do that, if you're willing to change your priorities, because it's not about balancing. I mean, of course, it's important to balance your life, but it's about choosing what's a priority. Or is my family, my extended family, a priority, or this new group of people that are wanting for me to be successful? And this is bad to say, but unfortunately, a lot of our family members are the ones that drag you down, especially in our Hispanic culture. It's all about family. It's all about getting together, and we love that. And I love that. And it's all about respect. But sometimes you just have to let people go. Not necessarily don't visit them, don't hang around with them. But I'm saying, hey, let there be a limit, because if you're trying to grow and they're at this level, you won't be able to go to the next level unless you go to a next level where other people are on that other level. So it's all about influences. It's all about who you hang around with, who you're listening to, who you're paying attention to, who you're following, who your influences are, and get into the Word. Get into a relationship, a strong relationship with God is all about the truth. We already spoke. The truth exists. It can be understood. It can be learned. But then you have to swallow the truth. It means you have to embrace it. You have to hug it and not let it go. You have to. You have has to be make it a lifestyle. And once you have the truth and know the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God, because God is going to help you when and only and when, of course, when you acknowledge Him in all your ways. So it is a process. And I asked him, "Hey, don't give up. Keep waking up over and over again. I know you have dreams. I know there's so many desires, but won't you wake up? Won't you get up from that comfortable seat, from that comfortable bed, and say, hey, today's my day. And if today wasn't your day, guess what? Tomorrow you have another opportunity. So don't let today's failure ruin your tomorrow's victory. And yeah, in order to have victory, you have to go to failure. Everybody has a basketball court, and everybody has a basketball, but not everybody's willing to shoot that basketball. Why? Because they're afraid of failure. And we didn't grow up with having all these skills of shooting a 3-point, three shot. Is that what you call it?
A 3-pointer. Yeah.
3-pointer.
Yep.
There we go. And so everybody's afraid of shooting a 3-pointer because they say, wow, I've never done this before. I don't have the skills. I don't have the abilities. Well, guess what? Michael Jordan didn't have the skills or abilities when he was born. So he had to practice. So he had to fail so many 3-point shots each and every day. But he kept coming back one time and another time. And he decided, I'm not going to give up. And that's why Michael Jordan and so many other people are so successful, because they decided not to give up. So I would tell, hey, you're gonna face failure. You're gonna, life's gonna hit you right upside the head, and you gotta know how to respond. And you can't just stay on the floor. You gotta get up, back once, 2 times, 3 times, whatever it takes. Just like having a relationship. We have to forgive 70 plus 70 times. That's all the time. So if you want to be successful, if you want to be victorious, you have to get up over and over and over and over again. It's not about throwing the towel. It's about getting that towel and wiping the sweat off your face. That's the type of attitude you have to have. That's the type of mindset you have to have, no matter what comes against you, no matter what the circumstances are, no matter if you were brought up by a single mother who wasn't there for you, or you weren't raised with a father figure. I could have used those and I did use those excuses growing up. But then I said, because of the testimony of my wife, I saw that there was a difference in her family as well. So many years, so many days and nights and weeks and months. When I decided to become a Christian, and buy my first Bible, I had so many questions. So it's okay to call Brother Justin Schaefer, Brother Bruce Schaefer, or Brother Sammy Draper, Brother Littlefield, or Brother Ryan, or anybody who's in the church or wherever you're located, and ask them questions. Why? Because that tells you that you're interested, that things are important, that you do care, that you do want to change, that you do want to improve, that you do want to get better. So it's all about making a choice and saying, hey, I do want to change. I do want things to improve. I do want to get better. And I'm willing to do whatever's required. And if that means I have to sacrifice some of my playtime, who doesn't love playtime? Who doesn't love peaceful time? Don't bother me time. But sometimes you just have to sacrifice that Saturday, that Friday night, and say, hey, today I'm going to hit the books. Pastor Draper said, if you ain't reading, you ain't growing. So we want to grow. Because when you grow, everything around you grows. Your environment, your mindset, your family grows. And hopefully, in the name of Jesus Christ, your bank account will grow.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. Again, I can't say enough. Thank you for coming on and sharing your wisdom with us. Really incredible testimony, incredible story. And I can't wait to see where your life leads you in the future as well. So continually growing.
Well, Justin, thank you so much. Anybody who's seeing this or listening to it, I ask you and I highly recommend you like, share, and subscribe to Sickle and the Sword.
Well, thank you very much for that.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate you coming on.
God bless.
God bless.